What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the Raging Rainbow. My name is Dylan, doing a comic book review for Teen Titans Academy number 3, and the identity of Red X is not revealed in this issue. So this issue, for some reason, starts out with Raven, of all people, kind of recapping some of what's going on, even though she's kind of like the least connected to everything that's been going on so far. Like, the people who've been most connected to everything has been Nightwing, Cyborg, Starfire, and Beast Boy in that order, and yet we're getting this part where Raven's kind of going on about her feelings on the subject. And anyway, we see this part where like the original Titans are all sitting around kind of talking about like who could possibly be masquerading around as Red X. And the first thing that we see at the end of this issue is at the end of this page is Nightwing, who's kind of saying right here, what is it? He hasn't demonstrated any powers. I think we can assume he's human. And then he moves on and says, what about Billy? So they don't actually mention who it was about whom they were speaking. I'm pretty sure it was Dane, though, because as I have been saying since the very first issue, I'm pretty sure Red X is Dane, the little blonde boy who came in all coked out in the first issue and then has not been heard from since that one panel. Literally. He got brought in, made a huge announcement about him being late and was so sorry about it, and has not been mentioned since then, but they have made sure to draw him in the background a lot. So that's why I'm saying, like, for sure it's him. In my mind, at least. I could be completely wrong. I'm willing to accept that. But in my mind, at least, it's him. So I'm pretty sure that is about whom they were speaking. For him to have said, he hasn't displayed any powers. Like, I didn't see that kid ever show any powers. As of yet, I have yet to see him actually do anything. So that's why I'm saying I don't think he's actually has any powers. That's why I think he probably is Red X. But we'll find out. So anyway, they're talking about it because he basically brings up, well, what if it's Billy, which is Billy Batson? Shazam. For some reason, he thinks it would be him. And they even kind of tell him, like, wasn't it kind of stupid? And it's Donna who's like, come on, Dick. Billy Batson is not the new Red X. To which Cyborg is like, it makes sense. All the other suspects have special abilities. And then she's like, and Captain freaking Shazam doesn't? So, and I guess is that the new thing we're doing now? Captain Shazam? Is that the name we're going for with him? Captain Shazam. Because his name is supposed to be Captain Marvel, if you didn't know. And then they started doing this whole thing where they gave him the name of the wizard, Shazam, which I've had a problem with for a very long time. But anyway, apparently if that's what they're going to do, because I get it, DC having a character named Captain Marvel is just kind of free advertising for Marvel, right? But still. Anyway, that's neither here nor there right now. Anyway, we get back to this thing where, like, Raven apparently has just been having, like, emotional issues. I don't know what this face is that she's making right here. Like, what is that? What is that face meant to convey? Uncertainty, I guess? It looks like constipation. Anyway, so she says, like, we need to check on the kids right now or whatever. And then they're saying, like, the students are at the tower, to which because Beast Boy and Raven are dating now. I don't really have that much of a problem with that pairing ever since I'm not even bullshitting. Y'all remember the first Teen Titans? I still have vivid memories of watching the very first episode the night it premiered. Not even bullshitting you. I remember where I was, what I was doing, who was around me at that moment when that first episode premiered for the first time on Cartoon Network. Again, total non sequitur. That's not what you came here for. So, we get this thing where, like, Beast Boy is being overly protective about her. Because for some reason, Raven's being written like this now, where she's, like, overly emotional and can't handle shit. Like, her empathic nature is too overwhelming for her all the time now. And so because of that, basically Beast Boy has to, like, escort her out of the room before she just, collapses, I guess. Catches the vapors and just faints on the couch. But anyway, we get back to this part where Suicide Squad has linked up with Red X because he's basically telling them they're trying to catch Alinta, Bolt, which that's another thing. Her getting the nickname of Bolt literally only happened in the previous issue of this comic. In Teen Titans Academy #2, Cyborg suggests that name and she's like, that's not a bad idea. And yet, since then, every other comic, like the characters always refer to her as Bolt. How do they know that? That was just an offhand conversation she had with Cyborg, and all she said was, that's a good name. But she hasn't actually told anybody that's her name, so how do they know that's her name? That's another reason I'm saying this has to be Dane. How else would they know? Wait, who is it that calls her Bolt first? I need to see this. Let's see, the first person to call her Bolt, it's in here somewhere. I know it because I saw them call her Bolt. I will find it. Aha! I found it. Okay, so yeah, it's later on when Peacemaker is basically saying that, he's calling her by name when they actually encounter her. He calls her by the name of Bolt. Like, how did he just already know that was her name? That's why I'm saying they had to have been talking about it previous to that, because if he was already calling her Bolt, he heard someone else call her Bolt, or he read it somewhere. So somehow that got out, that information got out, that she was going by the name of Bolt. Anyway, to go back to where we were, there's this like interaction we see with like Crush, who's the daughter of Lobo, where she's like hearing this message from her father or whatever, but she doesn't listen to the whole thing. She gets upset, and then the rest of the team comes in, and she has a little bit of a bitch fit, so she leaves because apparently she's too emotional. And then we get the advertisement to go read this little like this little emotional crybaby's book, apparently. Because if this is the type of writing we can expect for her character, I'm not all that interested. So anyway, we go from there to this scene where Alinta's talking to her roommate. I think her name is Tita. I think that's how it's pronounced, Tita. And so she's kind of telling her a little bit about how she got her speed powers. Basically, she uses the speed equation like the Golden Age Johnny Quick and then his daughter Jessie Quick would do. Basically, all you have to do is like memorize the formula, and that gives you like super speed. I think you have to just recite it out loud. Although I think for her, she said she just has to remember it, and it gives her the speed, but only in like bursts. So anyway, the Suicide Squad is like parachuting in or whatever. They're getting ready to like infiltrate, and then Red X is kind of asking, Peacekeeper if he like trusts him or whatever, or Peacemaker. I'm sorry, I'm calling him Peacekeeper. He's asking Peacemaker, like, if he trusts him. And he says no. And he's like, well, Waller seems to trust me. And he's like, yeah, I don't trust her either. So he's like, okay, so then why do you do everything she says? He reminds him, like, dude, we have bombs in our necks. Why wouldn't I? So he's like, you could take her out and all this crap or whatever. But they're getting ready to go in. And he tells them he has to disguise them as different, like, members of the Titans team. So we get this little joke where he disguises Peacemaker as Miss Starfire. So he says, looking good. And that's another clue right there. The fact that he says Miss Starfire indicates that he is very obviously one of the students. That's how they know them. Mr. Nightwing, Miss Starfire. So they go in and they're asking, like, why are we going by, like, where they would be sleeping at this time of night? He's like, because she's not in her room. So that's another thing that he somehow knows. So they encounter her. And if you remember from the last issue and what was going on in Suicide Squad, I mean, they encounter her and they end up taking her or whatever. But we get the Teen Titans Academy side of this story where like the other Titans show up and they try to like fight back. So we can see that Crush does this thing where she puts these chains around Peacemaker and then she throws him into the lockers, which I was like, ooh, damn, that looks like it hurt. So the rest of the team starts fighting. And of course, at first, like, Kid Flash, the tokenized Kid Flash, Wallace West, is there and he sees Superboy and he's like, what are you doing with them or whatever, like, what's going on? And then we can see here, and this is why I was saying it was kind of funny. Remember how I said that Peacemaker got thrown into the lockers over here? Immediately he just like recovers and throws Crush back into the lockers. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, we get this part where they start fighting the team because of course, and Superboy is like helping them because of course he has to be. And then the other Titans all show up, so they start helping. This was a pretty cool shot. I'm not gonna lie. Like, of the team, this new team, that was pretty badass. I like it. And then we get this part where Waller's trying to give direction to Peacemaker, and he's not really listening. So he tries to tell her like that whole thing, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I think we're breaking up or whatever." So she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll go around you." And she tells Talon, "Look, Get the girl by any means necessary. Go ahead and kill everybody else there if that's what you have to do. So, of course, he's just going to go ahead and do that. But because they hear that order, Peacemaker immediately like freaks out or whatever, and he tries to tell her like, "What are you doing?" To which she replies back to him, "Oh, I'm sorry. I think you're breaking up." So petty to the last. But anyway, Red X all of a sudden like tells, because I guess Red X was able to like figure it out without having like direct comm link. He says it's his handler. She's taking him off his leash. Bolt, Kid Flash, get your classmates out of here fast. So of course they start like evacuating everybody. And then Peacemaker goes up and is like, "You're betraying us. Like you were never with us to begin with." And then at that moment they bring in, if you will remember, the Suicide Squad is going through a rotating list of teleporters right now. So that's why we get this random one named Warp, who like comes in to teleport them out. And who is it that asks? Oh, it's I can't remember her name right now. It'll come to me later. She's like, "Warp, I thought you were dead," and he's like, "Nope." And then Culebра's like, "Good enough for me." So they teleport out of there, and then they don't get all of them because Crush is able to get Talon, William Cobb, and she like pins him up against the wall or whatever, and she's basically telling him like, "I'm about to tell you, like, you're about to find out why they call me Crush or whatever," when the Titans show up, and Starfire tells her like, "Let him go right now," and that distracts her just long enough for Warp to come back and take Talon with him. So Crush gets all pissed off and is like, "What did you do that for? You distracted me, and now they got away and everything." And then they do this thing where they were telling her like, "You were about to get out of control," and basically starting to like imply like, "You're Lobo's daughter, like things could have gone really bad." And she's like, "What? You thought I was gonna be like my dad and everything?" So again, she has a bitch fit and tells them that she quits, and she leaves. Then we go to the next scene where like all the Titans are sitting together, and apparently her and Roundhouse were really close. So he's texting her like, "You can come back, it's okay, please just answer me," but she's not texting him back at all. So they're all kind of talking about what's going on, and they're kind of talking about how they're confused, like they don't understand what happened and everything. And then Roundhouse is saying, "I don't care how many new kids they bring in, they can't replace Crush, not in a million years," or whatever. So Beast Boy is telling Graven like, "Oh, okay, I guess your premonition was right," which I guess was the only reason to have put that at the beginning of this issue, was for this scene where Beast Boy comes in and is like, "Oh, everything that you said was going to happen happened," which you could have just left that out of this and the story could have still played out the same way. But anyway, we get this thing where Raven is saying like, "I had a feeling about the attack, yes, but that wasn't the premonition I've been telling you about. Gar, the big scary stuff I've been seeing, I think somehow it's already here." And now we go over to this. You remember when I mentioned in the very first episode of Stitch? I might just go ahead and actually put that clip right here. We'll see how I feel about it. But if you will remember, I said that Stitch was going to be like this, where she is basically serving as this like random comedic relief. So we get this random little moment of levity where she's like drinking coffee. And I keep saying she, but Stitch is a non-bite, whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, Stitch is saying like, "I don't know why Tubi always complains about Roundhouse when his mom makes stuff this delicious." And of course, the gorilla one's like, "I'm sorry, Stitch, but how are you even?" And Stitch is like, "Look, just because a person doesn't have a mouth, taste buds, or the slightest hint of a digestive system doesn't mean they can't appreciate a perfect cup of coffee, Greg." That's the gorilla's name, Greg. And he's like, "It's Coco." And she says, "Coco, Greg, who cares? Just get me some more coffee." So she thinks that he was trying to correct her and say his name is Coco, which is that gorilla that like learned sign language, or one of the gorillas that learned sign language or whatever. So that's what I was saying. Like, I knew that's exactly who Stitch was going to end up being. That little like character who comes in to introduce random moments of levity. So that's exactly what we got here. And then Stitch is telling them like, "Don't worry, we have some of the world's greatest detectives currently looking into what just happened here, so they'll figure out what's going on and let us know." And then we cut back to where there is some evidence that's being collected, and we're given to assume, obviously it would be the Titans right now. It's actually the Bat Pack. The Bat Pack. The Bat Pack. It's a play on the term the Rat Pack, which is a group of singers from back in like the 40s and 50s. Oh, you didn't know about that one? Did you know about the Brat Pack? That was a group from the 80s. They were like teenage actors. Oh, you didn't know about them either? Yeah, that's probably because these people don't understand what demographic they're trying to hit when they create like a group like this and they call them the Bat Pack. I got what the reference was. Does anyone else? Will anyone else really care? And that's what I'm saying. What was the point of even calling them the Bat Pack? Like, I know what you were going for, but no one else is really going to get it. So there wasn't really any point to calling them that. But whatever. The Bat Pack is on the case. So we'll see what ends up coming from that, because as you can see, it's, if you will remember, it's this group of people who, and I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused for a few reasons, because as you can see, there's the one in the front who, yeah, I can't remember her name, but as you can see, her hair is kind of shaped like the bat ears. And then there's this one who he's like the big guy. They both look as I remember them, but I could have sworn the other one was named Chupacabra and he looked more like an actual bat. I could have sworn. I guess I'll have to go back and look at my other video, or that, like, go and find the comic, because I could have sworn he actually looked more like a bat. And now all of a sudden they're just drawing him to look like this goth kid in white makeup with a white mohawk. So I don't know what that's supposed to be. But anyway, yeah, that's going to do it for my review here of Teen Titans Academy number 3. So, I mean, if you guys are keeping up with this series, please do let me know what you think of it. I mean, do you think that I'm right about this thing about Dane being the Red X? I am almost 100% convinced that it is Dane. I am open to the possibility that it's not. I'm willing to accept that it might not be. Totally willing to accept that. But at this point, I'm at least 98% certain that it is going to be Dane, the little blonde boy who came in all coked out in the first issue. That's who I think it's going to be. But let me know who you think it's going to be, or if you're keeping up with this, just let me know your thoughts on the story overall. But yeah, that's going to do it for me here, guys. So if you like this video, then do like the video, comment on it, subscribe, share this video with everybody that you know. But if you guys are done here, then go read a book. And if not, then I will see you on the next video.